The liberation of Raqqa and the fall of Mosul marks the end of ISIL's caliphate in Syria and Iraq. But intelligence officials say the organization is far from defeated. Hello, I'm Anand Naidu, and this is The Heat. The Islamic State has lost most of the territory it controlled in Iraq and Syria since 2014. Earlier this month, US-backed forces declared the liberation of the Syrian city of Raqqa the de facto capital of ISIL. It was in Raqqa where ISIL leaders planned devastating attacks across Europe and the United States. And even as the last pockets of fighters are cleared in Iraq and Syria, the fight against the militant group remains a global challenge. We begin our coverage with CGTN'S Susannah George in Baghdad. And Susannah, at one point, ISIL seized nearly a third of Iraq. What's left of the militant group, and how much of a threat does ISIL still pose for the country?
According to estimates from the U.S.-led coalition, more than 90% of the territory IS once held in Iraq has been retaken by Iraqi government forces. Now, that comes with the caveat that some patches of this territory may still need to be back-cleared, that they're not fully under control of the Iraqi government, but it does mark a remarkable turnaround in just over 3 years of fighting against the militant group. The last patch of territory that IS holds in Iraq is along the border with Syria, on the western edge of Anbar province. And Thursday morning, Iraqi officials announced the launch of an operation to retake that territory there. It's unclear at the moment how quickly that's progressing. What many fear is that as the caliphate crumbles, IS fighters will return to their insurgent roots and launch insurgent-style attacks far from the front lines. We've seen this time and time again. As IS loses control of a major city or a major pocket of territory, they'll launch a string of attacks here in the capital of Baghdad or in other parts of the Shia heartland.
Susannah, the U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson recently met with the Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi in Baghdad. What did those two leaders discuss, and was the situation in Kirkuk addressed?
Rex Tillerson met with Abadi and asked Baghdad and the Kurdish region to resolve their differences peacefully. Kirkuk was addressed. The United States is in a unique position. It's an ally of both Iraq's Kurds and the Shiite-dominated central government in Baghdad, but it supports a unified Iraq as outlined in the Iraqi constitution and came out strongly against the referendum that was held last month that sparked this escalation of tensions that erupted into violence earlier this month. Another issue that came up during the Secretary of State's visit in Baghdad was the role of the Popular Mobilization Forces. Those are the mostly Shiite, largely Iran-backed forces that have led many of the early battles against IS in Iraq. Tillerson had called for them to be disbanded, but Abadi defended their role in Iraq when Tillerson visited. Abadi called them part of Iraq's institutions, and the remarks from Tillerson also sparked sharp criticism from PMF leaders, calling instead for U.S. forces to leave Iraq and go home.
Thanks, Susannah. That's CGTN's Susannah George reporting from Baghdad.